happening right now. 24-hour security is in place at an abandoned mausoleum in Bessemer that was recently broken into.
And disturbing video has surfaced showing ransacked crypts with bodies still inside.
How did the remains of loved ones go so long in an unkempt, unlocked facility without getting safely secured? After all, they were just a handful of feet away from the public eye. Alabama's Memorial Mound was opened in 1992 by Clyde Booth with the hope to create a burial site that was more secure than the standard above-ground graveyard. Booth vigorously studied the styles of ancient catacombs when designing the facility and built metal racks to safely store the caskets suspended above the floor. He did this because he firmly believed that the old methods of ground burial were not secure, and often left abandoned. The Memorial Mound was also home to Booth's wholesale casket business, which provided a very affordable option for the loved ones of the deceased. Many of the bodies buried at the Memorial Mound were referred to by other funeral homes, so most of his business came in from word of mouth. And after some time, out of what seemed like nowhere, funeral homes stopped referring Booth's mound. When they stopped, Booth believed a conspiracy was afoot. And because of this, at the turn of the millennium in 2000, Booth had to close the doors to the mound due to financial issues. Families of the buried here quickly became worried that they wouldn't be able to see their loved ones, now that the access to the outside world was virtually cut off. Some, however, were granted access by Booth to check in on their family members, and they were reassured to see everything looking in good shape. Or so they thought. Over time, water methodically kept dripping from the ceiling, symbolizing the downward spiral. Almost a decade later, Booth died of a heart attack, leaving the estate in the hands of his guardian, where the descent into neglect began.
It's horrific. Just to think about it, open caskets, skulls. Somebody had to have known that these conditions existed.
According to the Jefferson County Tax Assessor's Office, no taxes were paid on the property since 2009. And shortly thereafter, photos began surfacing in 2014 of the sad state of the facility. Caskets were deteriorating, the floors were littered with trash and artificial floral arrangements, and a casket stored on the upper level was rotted with fluid stains on the ground below. Some sources claiming that even the Birmingham branch of the FBI was tipped off by an urban explorer, reporting grave robbing.
Some people take their last monies to make sure they have enough to bury their loved ones. And I know in my community, that was one of those things that people took pride in, to know that upon their death, that they had monies to be buried and that their remains would be taken care of. So that is why we need to make sure anyone who is looking at or considering becoming a funeral home or cemetery owner understands the importance of the business and the service for which they render.
Police were able to secure the remains of 1 infant and 7 adults. After that, they quickly boarded up the facility and posted guards outside for some time to keep the public out. All 8 of the remains were identified, but only 3 of the families were able to be contacted and were able to facilitate the return of their loved ones. A truly surprising element of the events that happened here was that all the destruction and the robbing occurred just 50 feet from a major road. As of today, the old Memorial Mound has turned into a private residence. Booth witnessed the neglect of bodies firsthand as a child when he dug graves with his uncle. His dream was to create a secure facility where the bodies of loved ones would be cared for and preserved safely. Sadly, the events that occurred at Memorial Mound were anything but secure.
The city's plan is to wipe this out.
I want to see it gone.
This place is burning to the ground.
On incredible, rich legacy history, and it's right for someone to take it on and make it the next chapter.